Today I am making sloppy joes, aka sloppy joppies. I don't know. My mom always made these. Sometimes she'd do Manwich, sometimes she'd make her own. So I'm like, I'm gonna create my own recipe, and that is exactly what I'm going to show you today. I've tweaked it over the years, and this is what I really like. My husband loves it, loves it. That's why I have almost 3 pounds of meat in there. So yeah, we're gonna go over that. I have my heat at medium high, all three burners. So I like to use this big stock pot because then you're not gonna get like grease splashing or anything. So to start this out, medium high heat on a 3 burner. I have an electric stove because of a kind of traumatic experience I had with a gas fueled cooking device, aka a grill. So I'm terrified of gas, but yeah, if you have a gas stove, this might go a little bit quicker. But so far this has been 7 minutes and I need to turn it. So what's in here is 2 pounds of lean ground beef. I think it was 90, so decently lean. And then we have a pound of sirloin. If you're using like a fattier ground beef or whatever, then obviously you're not going to want to add water. But since this is lean, a lot of what you see bubbling in there is actually water. I added half a cup of water and then a little bit of salt just to give the beef some flavor while it's cooking. So yeah, we've got 2 pounds of lean, 1 pound of sirloin, and we have a half a cup of water and some salt. And we get our meat locally from a guy who does grass-fed, pastured cows. So yeah, I'm a little scared to get it from the store. I feel like a cow should just be able to like live its life happily if we're going to eat it. Anyhow, I won't jump on that train right now, but we're going to give this a stir and we're going to brown it up really good. Having the water around it and the little bit of fat also helps it cook quicker too, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this a little bit of a stir. Okay, it's been a couple minutes more, but I'm just going to show you. I gave it a good stir, and when I'm putting the ground beef in the pot, I basically pull it apart with my fingers while I'm wearing gloves. I cannot touch raw meat. I cannot eat like raw meat, even if it's kind of like pinky or if there's red running out. I just can't do it. But yeah, if you just go like this with a good solid spatula, one that didn't have the slots in it would be better. But yeah, the one I have like that is pretty small, so I'm using this big guy because this is a big pot. But yeah, you just go around and you can break it up even more. But it does help to get it started when you have pulled it apart a little bit with your fingers. So yeah, some people like the ground beef for their chili or sloppy joes or whatever. They like it to be like really finely, like real fine little pieces, maybe like this. I kind of like a mixture, so you got to make sure you cook it to get those bigger guys taken care of as well. Now, as you're cooking, some of the water is going to evaporate, as you can see, and I have the fan running. And basically, if you need to add more water because you know you have less fatty meat, that's okay. Or if you need to take out a little bit of fat, like you're just gonna have to use your best judgment depending on the type of meat you have. And let me tell you, it is not standard across the board. I don't care what anyone says. You can get like a 90-10 from one place and a 90-10 from another, and one's going to have way more fat. You kind of have to just tweak it, you know, as you're going along. But I'm going to keep on letting this cook and hop on to the next part. So now over here by my wet ingredients, I have 1 1/3 cups of ketchup, and I have a tablespoon of yellow mustard. You can see the brands I'm using here, but use whatever you have. I have 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. I think I said it right the first time, but I've heard people say that all kinds of different ways. Um, also have 1 teaspoon of the chipotle Tabasco and 1 teaspoon of the garlic pepper Tabasco sauce. So you just put that in this measuring cup, because I started by measuring the 1 1/3 ketchup just to make less dishes. Give that a little bit of a stir, just to start getting things incorporated before you add it later. On to the next part. And now I'm back over to the stove. You can see it's been about 10 minutes. I started at 11:30 heating up the pan and breaking it in, and now it's pretty much brown, you can see. And a lot of the liquid is starting to disappear. So you can see now we just have some of that fat left in there. If you're worried about fat or you want to make it leaner, remember you could always make this with ground turkey, or you could do like a mixture chicken. So you get to kind of play the role that you want when it comes to that by subbing things. But this is just how I like it, and I'm not a ground turkey or chicken fan. It's just, I don't know, somebody tell me why I should like it. But yeah, I prefer like a good chicken breast, like a grilled chicken thigh with like barbecue sauce, or like turkey at Thanksgiving. Just not fond of the ground version of it. So yeah, we just turned the heat off, and now, so I don't lose more moisture, I'm actually going to put a lid on it. And we're just gonna let that kind of hang out for a while. Okay, so now we have our dry ingredients. You can see that I measured them all in here. So you can go ahead and give that a good stir with a fork too. Always try to incorporate stuff like together. Mix it up well before you add it in any recipe. I mean, unless scientifically there's a reason not to do that. Like if you're like creaming butter and you don't want to fluff it up too much or whatever. But especially with dry spices, like mix that up. So for the dry part of my sloppy Joe recipe, I actually do a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I normally do dark brown sugar, but this is all I have right now during quarantine time, so I'll have to add that to my list, but it'll work. If you wanted to, you could add like a teaspoon of molasses or sorghum to balance that out, give it that kind of richness. Then I added 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I just have this little guy here. I added a 1/2 teaspoon of Penzeys 4S and a 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I love that stuff. That is one of my favorite spices. 4 teaspoons of onion powder. Now you could add onions if you wanted when you cook down the ground beef. You know, you could cut them fine, but I prefer onion powder. I don't like the texture of cooked onions. I just like the dry stuff much better. And then we have 1 1/2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And these are both Penzeys. I made my own little spice rack of stuff I use the most. Then we have a 1/4 teaspoon of Spice House Hickory Smoked Salt. I love that. You can see I don't use it much. I just put it in my chili and the sloppy joes. So 1 teaspoon of celery salt. Excellent. Have to have this around if you want a real Chicago style hot dog. A 1/4 teaspoon of MSG. You can leave that out if you feel like it causes you migraines. I've found that it doesn't kind of like provoke a migraine in me, but you do you. 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, also from Penzeys, maybe Spice House, I can't keep track. 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. I don't like stuff too hot, but my husband likes heat, so this is just medium, and 1/2 teaspoon isn't too much. If you want to make it even cooler, just kind of pick out the seeds and use the redder parts, and it'll be even less spicy. So those are the dry ingredients, and mix them all together. On to the next part. Okay, we have, it's been about a 1/2 hour since I started this whole process, and now we have our delicious meat. It's been sitting just still on the burner that I started it with, but yeah, it's just been hanging out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check and see like how much fat do I have, because it's going to depend That's going to determine if I add additional water or not. I always add a little water to the measuring cup that I use to make the ingredients, so might need a hair more, but we'll go ahead and we'll get started with that. What I want to do now is I actually just want to take my dry ingredients that are all mixed up and I want to add them to my wet ingredients. I'm just going to give that a stir. Oh, you can smell it already, like that smoky flavor from the paprika. And then you can smell just a hint of that cumin, a little bit of like oniony goodness, but it's not too overwhelming. Oh my goodness, I'm so hungry. Like my stomach's going to eat itself waiting for this. It's like, put this in there now. So yeah, just going to give that a stir. And I couldn't find my little thing, like my little holder, so I'm actually going to add this to the pot off camera here. Hold up. Okay, so we just added the wet and dry ingredients that were mixed together. I'm just going to start mixing this. It's starting to get a bit thicker now. Probably do most of this off camera too. Yeah, because my pan's sliding around. Hold up, hold up. Oh my god, look at this. It looks so good. Oh, if you could smell it, I need it. Who's the one on Food Network that always talked about smell-o-vision? Was it Guy Fieri or was it Rachel Ray? I can't remember. But yeah, I have this over medium-low heat now. It's been about 35 minutes since I started the process. While I'm here, actually, I'm going to preheat my oven to 400. And I'm going to do convection. Ding. Still getting used to this stove. It's pretty new. Yeah, like we moved here and like we had a warranty for a year, and that was good because like one of the things in the bathroom kind of went to hell and we got it fixed. That was a debacle that we ended up paying out of pocket for anyhow. But yeah, then like after a year, everything went to hell. And we didn't renew the home warranty because they were being like very wishy-washy and they didn't want to fix things and like they were just being punks about it. So, yeah. I don't know. Really look into the company. I can't remember. I'll have to look, and I can't remember because we've had 3 homes. We've kind of been like getting like better and better home, working our way up. So yeah. Check this out. It's so good. So we're going to let this just hang out for a while over medium-low heat, and we're going to let it sweat some of that liquid out. There's still going to be some fat behind. If you want to, you could actually take a paper towel. Like sometimes I'll bundle up paper towel and have a plate ready, and what I'll do is I'll make like a dent in the mixture. It's going to be hard to do this while recording. But I'll put that paper towel in there, and I'll have more, obviously. This is just what I have on hand. But you can soak up fat that way as well if you don't want to drain it and make a terrible mess in your kitchen sink. Like, I hate getting grease and, like, fat everywhere, so I like to use, like, high pots and don't put crap in the sink. It's OCD in me, I think. It could just be a bad personality flaw that I have, but yeah, so this is looking good. I'm not going to put a lid on it. Maybe open a window if you don't want your house to smell like sloppy joes for the next couple of days, but I'm just going to let this hang out. Okay, so I preheated the oven to 400. She's getting up there. It's almost there. And what I did was you have to have a sesame seed bun. And a lot of times, you know, if you eat sloppy joes, they like kind of get really goopy and the bun gets kind of gross. Like, that's why you have to be careful you don't have too much fat, and then you have to make sure that you toast the buns up. I found it very helpful. So a little bit of salted butter, 400-degree oven, and we're gonna get these a little more toasty, so they just, especially like the bun bottoms, like, see, they're just too squishy. You put all that delicious like meat on there, the juicy delicious meat, and it's just, your bun's gonna go to hell. So maybe literally, that is a sin, a soggy bun. Disgusting. Also, here's a tip. I use these butternut sesame buns. That's just all I had, so whatever. But if you're throwing this in the freezer for later, you're not gonna like make a burger or a sandwich or whatever anytime soon, go ahead and clip off this excess stuff. I mean, unless you want the nutrition info. Sometimes I'll take a picture of the nutrition label. Oh, damn scissors. This is so much easier to store than this like disaster right here. So you can tell my oven just preheated. The oven is going off, and that could only mean one thing. Turning off the timer and the oven. And now we have our toasty, toasty, toasty buns. Whew, shit, that's getting hot. Sorry, excuse my French. Look at that. And sesame seeds are toasted now, so even better. You'll have a little bit of bulk with that, like juicy meat. It's wonderful. Do it this way, peeps. Trust me. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. If you're going to cook, cook with your heart. Put all your soul into it. Every time. Well, unless you're tired. Then you could skimp a little. Okay, so it's been about an hour now, but that involved like all of the prepping and measuring while the meat kind of simmered. You can also do this in a crock pot. Cook it and do it like this first, then you can transfer it to a crock pot once it's already been heating up for a bit. And then you can put this in there. You can even put a little bit in before all the moisture is completely evaporated. But know that if you put this in a crock pot, like say you're having like a Super Bowl party or whatever, I say that because I make these for almost every like Super Bowl party I've ever had. Go ahead and heat it up, put this in, make sure that you put that baby on like at least medium. It should be maintaining a safe temperature. You're eating this too, like you want it to be yummy and hot and delicious. So that's it for that. So look at these buns, they look so good. Look at that, nice and toasty. That's gonna hold up really well. Delicious. You could do a little less if you wanted them a bit softer, or not do it at all. It's completely up to you. But what Sloppy Joe like recipe or day can make it even through without some ruffles or generic? The generic like ruffled potato chips are actually better. This is just what my husband grabbed when he ran to the store, but yeah. I know some people who put these on the sandwich. It's kind of weird to me, but you have to have them on the side and maybe some coleslaw and then like a really healthy fresh dessert, like I don't know, like maybe some cantaloupe with some basil and a little bit of honey, or just to balance it out. But this is going to be good. This is going to be good, good, good. I'm going to show you in a minute what the Sammy looks like when it's done, and we'll be ready to eat. And there we go. You can tell I got a little overzealous with the meat mixture per usual. But yeah, let's look at this toasty bun. Oh my gosh. And see when you pick it up, like that holds up. That holds up together. Just make sure your guests have some little forks to eat all this extra stuff, or just sneak it in like I do and eat it like this. Oh my gosh, so good. It's so good. So this is my lunch. It's delicious. Gonna throw a few chips on here. And I'm gonna eat really well the rest of the day. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the recipe. Let me know if anybody has any questions. I gotta eat. I'm out. Thanks again. Have a good one.